Husker Nation. This is Nathan the Angry Husker coming to you from Crestview, Florida with my brother Jason. Say hello, Jason.
Hello.
And we are going to recap the Nebraska USC Holiday Ball. Alright, so Jason, you got to see the entirety of the game. I only watched the second, third, and fourth quarter because I was driving at the time. What are your general thoughts on this football game?
I thought, considering that Nebraska was coming off a really, really hard couple of weeks after the firing of Bo Pelini, they played really well. No one really gave Nebraska a shot. Vegas had about a 65% chance of USC winning. And Nebraska still came out, played a close game, played a hard game. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, everyone was predicting a blowout loss for Nebraska on this one. Nobody knew how the Huskers were going to come out after Bo Pelini got fired, how the coaching staff for that these played fired up. And I thought they played amazing considering the circumstances they were under and just the level of talent that USC has.
Absolutely.
So, Jason, why did Nebraska lose this game?
I think it came down to big plays. I think that USC just had a couple more big plays than Nebraska did. Adoree Jackson having that big kickoff return and that big pass completion made the biggest difference to me. It was just that USC had a little bit more of those plays than Nebraska did, and they were really quick strike plays, and Nebraska had more slow drives than USC did, and ultimately that led to Nebraska not being able to finish it at the very end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely true. That kickoff return for a touchdown was just absolutely gut-wrenching for the Huskers. For me, I think the reasons Nebraska lost this game was, number one, missed opportunities on big plays. I want to take you back to the third quarter. Nebraska's in the red zone, driving to the USC end zone. Tommy Armstrong rolls out to the right, looks across the field, throws across his body, off his back foot. Just a horrible interception in a moment where Nebraska needed points. And you got to remember, Nebraska only lost this game by 3 points. If Tommy Armstrong doesn't throw that interception, at the very least, we kick an easy field goal and the game's tied. Second drive I want to talk about was, I think it was early in the fourth quarter or late in the third quarter, when Nebraska was on the USC 1 yard line. We're getting ready to drive into the end zone. It's a 4th and 1, and it's just a complete meltdown on the offensive side of the ball. One of the right receivers wasn't set.
Nobody's lined up.
Yeah, nobody's lined up.
Comes in motion.
There's no communication between the center and the quarterback. Tommy Armstrong actually got hit in the face with the football on that play. And I don't know if that play would have been a touchdown had they got the playoff right, but I do know they would have had a hell of a better chance of getting that touchdown than they did with that lack of communication.
I just think Tommy Armstrong, when he had to face moments where he had to make quick decisions that were decisive, he often chose to make a decision that he was trying to do too much in the game, where he'd throw a pick, he'd throw an interception, he wouldn't throw the ball out of bounds, he'd hurry up too quickly, he'd try to get the snap off, when really, if you just take your time and take it slow, we could have had a lot more to gain in a lot of the plays than we did with Armstrong rushing and trying to make things happen that weren't there.
Absolutely, and did it not seem like every other play, Tommy Armstrong had to either jump up for to get the ball from the center or go down to his feet to get it? It seemed that the center wasn't snapping the ball very well. He had to make a lot of plays to just get the ball into his hands.
Yeah, and I think, because of that and because of Abdullah not playing the best game that he could have possibly played, Armstrong felt he had to do a lot. When the ball was snapped really high, instead of taking a moment to calm down, to reassess the play, he often would scramble out of the pocket or try and make something happen with his feet that really didn't need to, and that caused a lot of problems that really didn't need to happen.
All right, the second reason I think Nebraska lost this game was just the rushing attack that USC has. Jarvis Allen had 152 yards on the ground, and USC overall had 210 rushing yards, and it's hard to beat anybody with that kind of rushing attack coming at you.
Plus 300 yards of passing.
Exactly. I mean, when a team is that balanced, and no one's arguing that USC is a talented team. They're a very talented football team. So when they're having that kind of success on the ground, not even having to throw the football, it makes things very difficult. And it seemed that near the end of the game, especially in the third quarter, when they were just driving the football down the field like crazy, they were having all kinds of success running the ball. They didn't even have to go to the air.
And I think the two series of plays that was most emblematic of that were in the third quarter, where they ran the same exact play twice in a row, a pitch to the right side where they overloaded the right side, and they gained 10 yards both times. That was just like, Nebraska had seen the play, just the previous play, and they still weren't able to stop it.
Still couldn't stop.
And if I were, and if I'm, the coach of USC, I'm going to call the plays that work, and plays that were working were run plays, especially to the outside.
Yeah, it seemed like the Nebraska defenders just couldn't beat that speed. So with all that negative, how did Nebraska keep it so close? I mean, we only lost the game by 3 points. How did that end up happening?
I think that though this wasn't the best rushing game for Abdullah or the whole rushing attack, I think in moments where they needed it the most, the rushing attack came to play. Abdullah got crucial yards. You can say not at the very end, but to keep us in the game, Abdullah did. Armstrong made some great plays.
He did.
And I think that and sort of the individual effort plays during the game is what kept Nebraska in it. That Mitchell interception, that great option where Armstrong kept the ball instead of pitching it and cut through the two defenders in the second half.
An amazing play.
So I think that those were the things that really kept Nebraska, which honestly shouldn't have been in this game, in the game. They wanted to win for Bo. I think we saw that with Kenny Bell with his armbands.
I was just about to mention that.
So they played their hearts out, and the coaching staff, even though there was a little heat between them, also worked together nicely to kind of put us in the best position to be in the game.
That's true. I think there's two reasons I think Nebraska had a golden opportunity to win this game near the end. I think the first one, as you hit on, was the individual effort by the players. You saw this, like I was about to mention, with Kenny Bell having the "For Bo" written on his arm during the game. These players wanted to win this game more than anything else. I do believe they wanted this game more than the USC players, and you could see it. The talent level at Nebraska isn't quite what it is at USC. It's just not. And the fact that they played their hearts out, came back from deficit after deficit. They go down by double-digit figures over and over and over again in this football game. And every time they find a way to come back, every time it looked like USC was going to blow it out, was going to just blow this game out of the park, Nebraska found a way to get back in it. And that's all thanks to the individual effort of mainly Tommy Armstrong played lights out throwing the football. His best passing game, I think, that he's had at Nebraska. Amir Abdullah had 88 yards, but they were a very good 88 yards. It seemed to me that he had a much bigger impact on this game than that yard total indicates.
All the kickoff returns, getting us deep into USC territory, putting us in good field position. Abdullah played really hard this game.
Exactly, and I haven't even mentioned DeMornay Pearsonell, who is going to be an amazing player for the Huskers in coming years.
He's going to be great. I'm very excited.
I mean, we already knew that he was a baller from the way he would return punt returns, but his receiving this last game was
yards after the catch. I think we're in a good position in the wide receiver core after Kenny Bell leaves, after Westerkamp leaves. I think Pearsonell is a really, really solid. I think him and Tommy Armstrong both developing into solid receiver, a solid quarterback is good for our offense, especially if we're instilling under Riley, just to kind of get into the future, a pro-style offense. And I think that Pearsonell will work really well in that system.
Oh, he worked amazing. We have an amazing quarterback coming up, Jennings Stanton, who is a more pro-style quarterback. I just got to wonder what Mike Riley is going to end up doing with him, if he might end up being the starting quarterback for years to come. But I think the second reason Nebraska was in this game was the fourth quarter. USC just got tired. USC has been working under sanctions for the last few years. They had, less than 60 scholarship players on their team.
55.
57 scholarship players. They were tired by the time the fourth quarter rolled around. You could really see it. Our offense was clicking. Their offense could not do a thing. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't stop our offense. They were dog tired. This was a huge advantage Nebraska had going into the game that nobody was talking about, and it really came to fruition at the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I think that we've seen USC in the Pac-12 fall late to teams and not finish well because of that depth issue. And it wasn't really talked about, but when Nebraska came back, all the commentators were saying, USC has done this before. They've fallen to Utah, to Arizona State. These late collapses because, honestly, just because of the sanctions, they don't have the depth that Nebraska does or any of those other teams did when it came right down to it.
And I think, can you go ahead and type the password in there? I'm sorry. And I think that most people were expecting this game to be kind of a Wisconsin type deal for the Cornhuskers, but that's really not the way that the game played out. The game played out very favorably for Nebraska. What happened?
This is our technical difficulties.
Yes, we're not ESPN. You cannot expect us to be perfect.
There it is.
And we're back. All right, thank you, Dad. Daddy Porrata, everybody. Say hi. Come here, say hi. You're not in the shot.
I'm not in the shot?
You're not in the shot. This is a holiday episode, so we're bringing in the whole family.
Nebraska.
I bought him this hoodie. It's a Nebraska hoodie.
All right, so despite the fact that this was a loss, nobody's ever happy with the loss. I think for the first time in years, Nebraska played above its capability.
That's the thing.
It's not just wins and losses that matter. It's how you play the game sometimes. And it seems like Nebraska over the years has consistently played beneath its talent level. And in this game, it clearly played above it and nearly came out with a huge upset against USC.
Mm-hmm.
How amazing that game was. Never happy with the loss. But this is the best I felt about a loss since losing to Texas in 09.
Yeah, I think it's just an effort thing. I think, for Nebraska fans, a loss always hurts, but if the players don't try, and like that game where, Wisconsin ran for bajillions of yards and the defense just gave up.
I just saw Melvin Gordon running down the street just now.
I think it's an effort thing. And in this game particularly, we saw players give a heck of a lot of effort. And, USC's talent won through. USC won the game. Congratulations to them. And they're going to be in a good shape. I think they're a team that will make some waves in the Pac-12 next year.
Definitely.
Especially getting more scholarships. But, Nebraska put in a solid effort. And as much as I don't want to sound like that dad, it's like, well, you tried. I am happy that Nebraska tried. Thank you for trying and for putting forth the best effort that you could.
And for all the seniors who we will never see in Husker Red again, I want to say thank you. Kenny Bell, Amir Abdullah, Randy Gregory, if you decide to go to the draft, which you probably will. You have given Nebraska some amazing memories, and we will miss the hell out of you.
And we thank you.
Exactly. All right, that'll be it for us. I am Nathan, and this is my brother Jason. I'm the Angry Husker. He is not quite so angry, but we love him anyway. All right. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year's, and we will see you before the playoff games. You all have a good one.